In the Avengers, one of the superhero movies, one of the ways that they solve a lot of their problems when they're going up against all odds and they're in a difficult situation is that there's a character who looks into the future and looks at all the different possibilities of the different outcomes of what different actions would have and would take. And so the way they solve their problems is they look at the outcome that they look for the outcome that they would want to have, and then they look backwards on how do we achieve that? How did it go about through this character that sees into the future? We have a sort of that for ourselves with the prophet Isaiah speaking to us today. He speaks to us of a future. He says, "On that day, they will sing this song in the land of Judah." So he's speaking about the future and this song of praise and thanksgiving that people have, rejoicing in a place of security. The outcome that he speaks of, the place that we all want to be, is the strong city. We can see this as the strong city of Jerusalem, the heavenly city of Jerusalem, our place in heaven, a place where there's strong walls and ramparts to protect us. And so imagining ourselves with these people singing God's praises in this heavenly city, protected and safe and secure, how do they get there, might be the question. To get into the city, they have to open up the gates. And so we hear, "Open up the gates to let in a nation that is just." So how does one enter these gates? How does one come into them? How does one enter heaven and be in a place of strong safety and security? Because Jesus tells us in the gospel today that not everyone who cries out, "Lord, Lord," will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. And this is something that's repeated constantly for us in the readings. Just the one thing that is necessary, the one thing that lets us enter through the gates, to enter into the heavenly city of Jerusalem. There's this repetition of a similar theme of the nation that is just, the one that keeps faith, the nation of firm purpose. There's this trust, this fidelity of righteousness and persistence. The prophet Isaiah, he's prophesying during a time when the Assyrians, the big bad empire of the Assyrians, were a threat. And the Israelite people were constantly looking to other sources for their salvation. Perhaps the Egyptians will save us, or perhaps somebody else will come along. But Isaiah is constantly reminding them that their hope, their salvation, comes from the Lord. For the Lord is their eternal rock. In Hebrew, the word used for this rock is almost actually like a cave, like a cleft in a rock outlet where one can kind of hide, and that way their only enemy is like right in front of them. They're protected on all sides, and they can kind of defend themselves easily because they're protected from all around. And so recognizing that the Lord is a rock for us, that he protects us, and that we're called to trust in him. And this is something that isn't just for one moment, but we have to persist in, we have to persevere in. A few weeks ago, I participated in something called a Spartan race, which is like a long-distance run with obstacle courses and physical challenges along the way. And because I have an addictive personality and I'm very curious as well, I signed up for a whole bunch of other ones and started reading more about it after doing it. And one of the options they have, I didn't sign up for, is called a Spartan death race. Rather intimidating in its sound, a Spartan death race. And what they say is so challenging and hard about this death race is that they don't tell you ahead of time how long it's going to last or what you have to do or how long you're going to have to do it. And so it's this uncertainty of not knowing what's ahead that makes it so taxing and demanding and difficult. Perhaps a death race is not the most proper name for it, because rather I see it almost as a metaphor for life. We don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know what's going to come, what the future has in store, or how long we're going to have to endure something. But the Lord tells us to persevere, to trust in Him. And He promises us that if we have this resolution to just not give up to the end, I think this is what allows the athletes to finish these races, is simply not even giving themselves the possibility of giving up, that they're going to persist to the end no matter what. And so the prophet Isaiah says today, the nation of firm purpose you keep in peace for its trust in you. And so may we be individuals in a nation of firm purpose, resolving never to give up to the end. We might not know what the future has in store, but we know that God is a shield, a rock, and will protect us, that He's a firm foundation on which to build our lives. And if we have this resolution, that always to trust in God and to never accept any other alternatives, then we will truly have peace. Peace here and now, because our hearts and our minds will be undivided, and peace for eternity, because we will never be separated from our God in heaven.